Let's look at this set. Each person living in a certain city speaks exactly one language among 6 different languages: English, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, and Marathi. The first pie chart below gives the number of persons in the city who speak each language at the beginning of 2010. Okay. So in the first pie chart, we have precise numbers mentioned. That is excellent. The second pie chart gives the exact percentage breakup of the number of persons who speak each language at the beginning of 2015. It is known that between 2010 and 15, no person learned to speak another language, and there were no births or deaths in the city. So people who knew their language continued to speak only in that language, no other language they learned. However, some persons in the city might have moved out of the city, or some persons from outside the city might have moved into the city. Some people might have moved out of the city, some people might have come into the city. Every person who moved into the city speaks exactly one of the 6 languages. So this division on the basis of language continues. People speak exactly one language out of the lot. Okay. So for 2010, we have English, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, and Marathi. Okay. Going ahead and recording it in tabular format because it is easier for me to understand that. 2015, I have data in percentage terms. In 2010, I have precise data. So 1500, 4500, 2000, 2500, 3000, and 2000. Okay. And here I have 25%, 20%, 15%, 10%, 10%, and 20%. Okay. Let's read the questions. If the number of persons who speak Hindi remained the same during the given period, so 20% is 3500. So the total population here in 2010 will be 5000 plus 5000 plus 4500. Total population here is 14500. As per this question, if the 2015, the number of Hindi speakers remains the same, the total population in 2015 will turn to 17500, 5 times of 3500. What is the minimum number of persons who would have moved out of the city? Okay. If the total becomes 17,500, 1/4 of that will be 4,000 plus. Can you see? People have increased. So nobody would have necessarily moved out of the English speaking community. This continues at 3,500, so nothing happens. 15% of 17,500. Can I say this will be 2,000 plus? What is that precise number? I am not too fussed about. It will be 2,000 plus 1750 is 10% plus 825, so 2575 will reach, but that calculation is not needed. Just it is going to be 2,000 plus. So Malayalam, count of people who are speaking Malayalam has gone up. Count of people who are speaking Malayalam has gone up. So we don't have to worry about Malayalam speaking people from 2010 leaving the town. For Tamil, the number will come down to 1750. For Telugu, the number will come down to 1750. And for Marathi, the number will go to 2000 plus. Now see, the only 2 communities in which the number of speakers has gone down is Tamil and Telugu. It has gone down by 750 in Tamil and it has gone down by 1250 in Telugu. These are, you cannot possibly effect this change without sending out these many people from these particular communities. And therefore, what is the minimum number of persons who would have moved out of the city? Minimum would be 2000, which is summation of 750 and 1250. Okay. Next, if no person moved out of the city between 2010 and 15, no person moved out. Okay. Which means that if no person moved out, these people are there. These people are there. Next is, what is the minimum number of people who speak Malayalam? that must have moved into the city. So new people would have entered into the city. Minimum number of people who speak Malayalam have moved into the city. Okay. From the first diagram to the second diagram, can you see among the list of speakers of particular languages, the highest is Hindi. And if the Hindi people continue to be the same, the total population would turn to 17,500. If I want a minimum number of people speaking Malayalam that are moving into the city, I want a minimum number of people to move into the city. After Hindi, the next one, if Telugu speaking people continued, the total population will turn to 30,000. 30,000. Or if the next highest number is 2,500. If Tamil speaking people continue to be in the city, the total population will turn to 25,000. 10% of the total will be 2,500. So on and so forth. From the last question, see, we can carry forward the learning from the last question. What were the only two communities or two languages that saw a decline? Tamil and Telugu. So I have to ensure that there is no decline in any of these. The best way to ensure that would be if the new population, the Telugu speaking population, holds firm at 3,000 and now becomes 10% of total. At 30,000, a total population of 30,000, see how many Marathi speaking people would be there? 6,000. Nobody has had to leave the town. Here it will be 3,000. Here it will be 3,000. 500 people have joined the town. Malayali people, 15%, 4,500. 2,500 people have joined the town. For Hindi, 20% of 30,000 is again 6,000. So 2,500 people have joined the town, Hindi speaking people. 25% of 30,000 is 7,500. So 6,000 English speaking people have joined the town. Nobody has had to leave the town. For any other population, if I hold it firm and make it, let's do it for, let's say, Tamil. If the total population turned to 25,000, then see, the Telugu population will also always need to come down. The Telugu population would always need to reduce in order to match up to the percentage distribution, and therefore it is unsatisfactory. The only case where nobody has to move out of town is when the Telugu population holds firm at 3,000. The total population becomes 30,000. In this case, what finally the question asks, what is the minimum number of people who speak Malayalam that must have moved into the city? Right now, Malayalam speaking people will be 4,500. 15% of 30,000 is 4,500. So from 2,000, the population has gone up to 4,500. So the number of people that would have moved into the city, Malayalam speaking people that would have moved into the city will be 2,500. Next. Okay. If no person moved out of the city between 2010 and 2015, what is the minimum number of people that must have moved into the city? Minimum number of people moved into the city. See, initially, number of people in the city were 14,500. And you need to have at least 30,000 as population in 2015 so that no person moved out of the city. You need to have at least 30,000 population. So the minimum number of people that must have moved into the city will be 15,500. The difference between the initial number and the minimum possible population so that nobody moves out of the city. Last question. If no person moved into the city, the script has been flipped. If no person moved into the city between 2010 and 2015, what is the minimum number of people that must have moved out of the city? Minimum number of people that must have moved out of the city. Now see, again looking at the numbers. Initially, the smallest one was English. Now the largest one is English. Now, in the percentage distribution, largest one is English. If I keep the English speaking population, at 1,500, if I keep the English speaking population at 1,500, in 2015, the total population will reduce to 6,000. The total population will reduce to 6,000. And now the English speaking population here will remain at 1,500. This will turn to 1200. This will turn to 900. This will turn to 600, 600, and 1200. Can you see? There is nobody moving into the city. There is nobody moving into the city if I keep the population of English firm at 1500. For peace of mind, we will also look at some other case. Let's say if Malayali people had continued to hold firm, 15% becomes challenge now. For any other grouping, if you continued the population, if you held the population firm and did not, the percentage was indicative of the number on the left. Can you see? Let's say if Marathi population held firm, the total population would come down to 10,000. This would be 2,000. This would be 1,000. This would be 1,000. This would be 1,500. This would be 2,000. So far, every population has gone down. No problem at all. But can you see the population for English would have risen? But we only wanted no people moved into the city. We want minimum number of people moving out of the city. This is not fulfilling that criteria. The only way it gets fulfilled is if we hold the population of English speaking people firm and the total population reduces to 6,000. So if we are moving from 14,500 to 6,000, minimum number of people that must have moved out of the city will be 8,500, and that is the entirety of the set. This is a beautiful set based around manipulation of numbers and familiarity with percentages and increase and pie charts and basically number manipulation, for the lack of a better term. If you are comfortable with this, life will be very, very easy. That will be all for this set.